So today is the dreaded, well, I don't even know if you can see me, the dreaded, we have to do more maintenance on the four-wheeler. I knew putting bigger tires and spacers was going to wear out the front end components quicker. I got 2,200 miles on it. I think I put the tires on at 1,600 miles, so didn't really get a whole lot of front end use. I do beat on this pretty bad. Anybody that has a four-wheeler, I'm sure everybody does, but I really still can't get over. I mean, it looks so much different without the box on the back. Just way, way, way different. And I'm taking the box off for a couple of different reasons. One of which is I'd really like to figure out a system to mount this and dismount it quickly, because right now it's basically, I've just got U-bolts that come in and then you screw them in from here, and then I got two here and then one there. So I'd really like to be able to take this on and off and really quickly and be able to use it for hunting, or if we're going to do any camping or anything like that, it's nice to have. But when I'm just riding, trail riding, it's kind of a pain. Not that it gets in the way, but I don't know, I like how it looks without. It's easier to wash without it on there. And but anyway, back to the maintenance. So what we're going to check today is we're going to check the front end. So let me get the jack and everything set up, and we'll go ahead and show you how to shake the front end down, diagnose ball joints, tie rods, all that fun stuff. So give me just a second here. Okay, so before I get this all jacked up, I just want to kind of show you how bad these are. I mean, even on the ground, I mean, look at that. I'm assuming that's the upper ball joint here, but maybe it's the lower, who knows. But anyway, I'll jack it up. It'll be easier if I do that. Okay, so the way to do this is to check the ball joints. We're just gonna grab the bottom of the tire and the top of the tire. And that appears to be a really bad wheel bearing. So I may have a problem diagnosing ball joint problems or tie rod issues until I get this replaced. So basically what you do is you grab the tire at the top and the bottom. If you shake it light, that should indicate bearing, and then you should be able to put pressure. I'm taking the pressure out of the bearing right now, and I can feel a little bit of a clunk. If you have two people, one shaking and one feeling, that works way better. But we're going to check the tie rods. Yeah, the bearings are so bad, I can't even tell if the tie rods are good or not. And as far as checking the inner tie rod, let's see if you guys can see that. Let's bring you in from the other side. So basically all I'm doing is, you see these right here? Just gonna put your hand around them like this, and if you wiggle the tire back and forth, you should be able to feel the ball moving inside the cup. But yeah, that's so bad. Let's go over to the other side and check that out. This right side's bearing's just horrible, so we might have to do bearings first and see what happens. But oh yeah, the bearing in this shot too. Yeah. I think the inner tie rods on this one's bad as well. Let's check the outer. I can't tell, the bearings are so bad. So I think this is going to turn into a bearing video, and then once we're done with it, get the bearings done, and then we'll have to deal with checking the tie rods. It doesn't seem like the tie rods and the ball joints are all that bad, but we'll know more once the bearings are replaced. So I think the next thing is to order up the parts, do a little research, make sure that Make sure that bearings replacement on these is the same as cars, but we'll find out. I'll let you guys know. Let me get into ordering some of the parts and we'll check back in a few days. Oh, is that it? It is. Sweet! Alright. Well, my parts have arrived. So we're going to start digging into the front wheel bearings on this big, beautiful machine. I've done a ton of wheel bearings on cars, never done any on ATVs yet, so bear with me, we're going to learn together. So I'm going to pop the tires off and get rolling with this. Alright, so the Honda, let's see how long the bearings lasted on, yeah, so we got 2219. I would expect wheel bearings to last a lot longer than that, right? So rather than going with the stock replacements, I did a little investigating on the internet, and there was a couple different recommendations. The ones that I chose was these guys. I have no affiliation with those guys. I don't know anything about their products, except for that the internet's claiming that they're stronger. So I think we'll find out here. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna pop the tires off and then we'll dig into this and see what can make this job the quickest and easiest. Alright, just in case I didn't get a good enough shot before of how bad the bearings are. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm sure it has a lot to do with all the water riding I do. Alright, 17, take the wheels off. You guys probably know that. Alright, one tire. Alright, so normally what you want to do when you're replacing a bearing is take the brakes off, take the tie rod off, take the ball joint, and you remove the whole hub or knuckle as one piece, so you can get the drive shaft out, so they can press the bearing in and out, right? And then you normally take it over to a press and press the bearing out. But what I'm thinking is I don't want to take all this crap off. I want to see if I can do it with taking the minimal amount of stuff off and still be able to get the machine apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brakes off. I'm going to disconnect the upper ball joint. And what we used to do back working on cars and back in the day is we would just pop either the lower or the upper ball joint out, just so we can get the axle out, and then we use a bearing press on the car press, and we press them on and off there, right? So I mean that's the general theory. We'll follow along here and see how things go. But yeah, I'm going to pull the brakes off, go from there. All right, brake caliper bolts, 12 millimeter. I had to throw a little extension on here. So far we've got a 17 to take off the wheels, 12 to take off the calipers. Let's see, bottom one's going to be exposed right here. These should come off pretty easy. Now would be a good time to take a look at your pads. These ones are still in good condition. I'm going to clean this out though because, well, I don't know why I'm going to clean them out, because it's going to fill up with crap anyway. But I got some nasty squeaks in here, so I want to get rid of those. I normally just like to put the bolts back in where they came from. So, just put them back on the caliper here. So I don't lose them. They have a problem of walking away from me. Okay. Don't just let your calipers hang. You just put too much stress on the hoses. But they're yours, so I'll let you make that choice. Alright, how the heck are we going to get this off? Well, let's start with the Let's see if we can get this cotter pin out without taking the spacers off. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. Oh, looks like it might. Okay, cotter pin's out. Success. Alright. Probably going to need a deep socket and a bigger socket. 3/8 ain't going to do it. Alright, so next size socket, 22 millimeter, and believe it or not, this is like hand tight, probably pretty normal, but I know you don't want to put too much stress on the bearing in the shaft, but one has to wonder, is the extra slop in there something that helped it fail faster? Probably not. Alright, so we're at the point now where the shaft can move if we give it some room. So the question would be, is do I pull the bottom ball joint or the top ball joint out? Alright, so to take the top ball joint off, there's a C-clip, circlip, whatever you want to call that thing right up here. We got to loosen that nut. Actually, we just need to loosen the nut and then move that up and then pull this out, or we loosen this nut and we force the control arm down and we pull it. So I don't know, this seems like it's easier to get to. It looks like it's maybe a 17, and I think that's the one I'm going to try. So let's pull the cotter key off of here. Alright, the cotter pin's out. 17 millimeter. Occasionally the shaft will spin, so it didn't happen on this case, but if you just put pressure, so like if you put a jack under here, just jack it up a little bit, put some tension on there, squishing these together, that works. You can use a vice grips and grab the shaft, but it's going to ruin this boot. That works if you're replacing the ball joint, but we didn't have that problem. Now the next big challenge is whether or not this comes out. So just give it a little test tap. And normally it doesn't come like that. So what you have to do is you have to hit it right here. But I'm not a lefty, so see? Very simple, very easy, as my dad used to say. Well, still does. Alright, ball joint's out. Now I just got to do a little taparoo here. And for that, we're just going to use a little baby hammer. And I do not want to damage any of these threads, so we're not even close to them. Make sure that there's not a clip on the back. Nope. So here's where I would normally get the air hammer out, and that's what I may end up doing, because they just blast through there pretty good. But I'm going to hit it with a little PB blaster or whatever your flavor of stuff is. I'm so excited about this build. I need to go relax, calm down, and take my time. We'll check back after we soak for 10 minutes. So according to California, this is going to give me cancer. Is it the packaging? Is it the bearing? Is it the install? Is it the seal? What's going to give me cancer? Okay. Okay, so we've let our stuff oil soak for I don't know, 5-10 minutes, something like that. Just gonna, I think we're gonna, oh yeah. Okay, well, that's one way to do it. Bearing just fell apart. Well, that was easy. I'm thinking that so the problem I'm gonna have here is the upper ball joint doesn't allow me to tilt enough, so I think I'm gonna have to take the upper ball joint out too. Dang it. Well, I thought I was gonna be able to save you guys some time, but apparently that's not the case. So I don't know, I'm gonna mess with this for a minute. So what I want to happen is one, I don't want the shaft to come out of the front diff, because then I got to put it back in and you get a little bit of an oil leak or whatever and you got to top it off. I don't want that to happen. What I want to happen is I want to be able to pull this out far enough so I can get the axle out of the hub, which if I get it out, how do you get it back in, right, and line everything up perfectly? So yeah, sorry guys, I honestly I think we're gonna have to take the upper ball joint off, so let me do that real quick and see where we get. Well, the cotter pin was a pain in the butt to get out. I did end up taking a 17 wrench and just clocking the bolt a little bit to see if I could free it up, but yeah, I ended up pretty much mangling it, so I'm gonna have to replace that. Hopefully I got a spare, otherwise I gotta go to the parts store. But I think the nuts loose. It wasn't very tight, which I'm fine with that because it wasn't going anywhere anyway. The cotter pin on there. All right, let's see. We get this freed up, and then. That wasn't too bad. So since we're already here, I might as well take the tie rod off too. I would seriously recommend loosening up taking the cotter pins out, loosening up everything before you even try and pull anything apart, because it's just, I'm going to struggle with this because it's just hanging here now. So, but we'll get through it. This is a tiny little cotter pin. See what I mean? It's just going to spin all over and be a pain in the butt. Should be able to do this by hand. Tiny little things. It's like wire. Just one. And are we 17 on this guy too? We are. I think I'm going to use a socket though. See what I mean? This is going to be fun. Actually, I might even fire up the air. Oh, I might have to. Alright, let's see if power tools make this a little easier. Back you guys up just a tad. Going. Oh, helps to go in reverse, huh? See what I mean about that spinning? So looks like on this one Bella. Haha! There we go. Too many tools out. And then we'll just do the same thing. All right. Okay, now that I got my tennis workbench out, looks like we got a seal here and a seal here. You know what I'm gonna do? After I check the bearing sizes, I'm gonna go throw these in the freezer. All right, so yeah. I think the first thing that we need to do is just pop the seal off. You know what? Why don't I just let this soak as well? Maybe. Alright, this right here is my favorite. So it looks like the bearing, well, I don't know. Looks like it needs to come out the backside. Shit. Took a nice chunk of concrete out of the floor. That was cool. Figures, I turn the camera off and the seal pops out. So this guy right here is your inner seal. Are they identical? I don't think so. No, they're not. So the inner one is smaller. Yeah, the outer one is bigger. Or I got that backwards. Outer one. Yeah. Wheel side. Shaft side is bigger. Okay, I got that right. I'm gonna struggle with this one for a while because the camera's on, right? Hey, look at how messed up this is. Just, that's all water damage. Oh, there's a snap ring in here. Ah, we're gonna pop that out. All right, let's see if we can get this out. Let's put a little blaster in there. See if this thing moves. Take some tension off of it. Okay. I soaked the crap out of this thing and been tapping on it, and we finally got her to move. I got one side unseized, but we got the other side right here that I need to, I'll just try a hammer. Probably gonna break my blue point. Pretty sure that hammering on it's not warranty item. Yeah, water riding this thing, as fun as it is, causes some problems. So we're gonna do our best to get this back on the road so we can put it in more water. So be very careful. You don't want to damage any of this stuff, but I might just need to let this sit a little longer. because it's pretty seized in here. I mean, normally this doesn't take this much effort, but and if you're saying safety glasses, safety glasses, safety glasses, you would be correct. Alright, I'm going to fiddle with this for a little bit. Yeah, so I think what I'll probably do is, this is pretty gritty, so I'll just hit it with a little emery cloth, really fine sandpaper, and then I'm going to bang out these bearings. Assuming since the cutter or the C-clip was here, comes out the backside. If you don't have an air hammer, well, you're going to need a press. I'd rather have a press, but right now, see, we're making progress. Like this side. So we have some success. I'm going to clean out this nastiness, and then we'll check to make sure the bearings fit. Alright, so really all you need to do is just clean this out so it's not got a bunch of grit in there. I usually just take like a screwdriver or a pick or something, go around, get all this crap out. Same thing on the bottom side here. Let's go scrape this out. Hit it with some oil. Or brake clean and then oil after you're done. So I'm going to go do that real quick. Alright, I think I got it all pretty much clean. I know there's a little bit of stuff in here. I'm going to try and get that a little bit better. But really, you don't want to go in and hit it with sandpaper or anything like that, because I really don't want to oblong this hub or do anything that's going to compromise that. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I am going to soak it with some blaster just until I get the bearings to where they're cold enough where I can just pop them in, because I don't have a press here, and I'm definitely not going to do it with that. You can tap it in with a socket, but we'll see. If I can do the freezer method, we'll do that. If not, we'll tap her in with a socket. So yeah, let me do that. We'll check back when the bearings are cold. Okay, so while the bearings are soaking in the freezer, and I did rip the other side apart, last thing we got to do is we got to figure out how to get this last part of the bearing out of the hub. Let's see. So last thing we got to do is we got to press this out. So this little plastic ring that they give you is sitting right in there. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in through here, grab the lip with the air hammer, and then try and work this out. That's the plan anyway. Okay, apparently it's kind of weird. Oh, this is part of the hub, duh. Okay, well, never mind. I'm just gonna do a little cleaning now. We got that last bearing race off, which is good. Cool. I got a frozen bearing. Yep, we're recording, cool. Oh, she didn't drop in. I was hoping it would just fall right into place. That went better than I expected. The other one's been in the freezer longer. Well, it will be once I finish up this dealio, so. And then for these, just put a little lubricant on there, doesn't matter what it is. Most people use grease. And if you do it right, it should just pop in there. Yeah, just bueno. All right. Next one is this guy. The bearing's cold. The whole hub's cold now. That's pretty cool. Oh shit. And then what you want to do, and we'll do this after, but see if this goes on. Sick. All right. Pretty good here. Pretty happy with the results. All right. Let's see what else. I'm gonna save these. I'm not gonna install them. They look like they're kind of a pain in the ass to get in and out. These don't look worn. The ones I have anyway. The other thing that we're gonna do too is we're just gonna pack a little grease in there before we slip the shaft back in. So I'm gonna do that. You can use anti-seize, you can use grease. There's already grease there, so let's do that. Grab the grease. All right. Oh, I'm almost out of grease. Maybe not. All right. Got some grease in there for the shaft. And really that's just to keep the water out and keep the, whatchamacallits, the spline's all nice and intact and not rusting. So we're gonna go back over to the wheeler here and put her back together. Well, I suppose there's nothing to it but to do it, right? Let's get this shaft back in here. I don't think there's really any tricks. I mean, it's just pretty much push the shaft in, line the ball joints up, and then let's see, just put the castle nut kind of on the upper just so she don't fall out. I'm gonna sit here and struggle for 10 minutes until I turn the camera off. Oh, it's gonna fall on my head. Probably want a water bottle. Well, for Pete's sake. Jeez. I tell ya, I'm getting rusty on working on vehicles. Alright, I must have dropped that ball joint or hit it with something because she is not happy. What is going on here? Yeah. Alright, I'm going to turn the camera off because, well, guess we need some air pressure. Alright. That's probably good. We'll check that by hand in a minute. Got my wrench. I like that Honda gives you just a little something to grab onto there. Thank you for that. All you really need to do is just snug these up. And then the last one we're going to do by hand. We can't get a tool in there. So while I do this by hand, I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, so when you're putting all this stuff back together, really you just snug it down, and then you're not going to get it perfect because the holes aren't going to line up for the cotter pins, but that's pretty much all you do. Like this guy, which you probably can't see, this guy's ready to rock. We'll just slide the cotter pin in there, and so I'm gonna button this up and then check back again. All right, so we got all the nuts tightened. I still got to do the center one here, but I'm gonna clean these brakes. So I'd seriously recommend you want to clean all this stuff out. You don't want any grease on your brakes. The other thing you can do too is, I'm not going to do this, but if you're getting a lot of weird noises, you can take a little sandpaper and rough up the whole brake rotor surface and the pads. That most of the time you don't hear any noises from brakes on ATVs because it's loud and it's outdoors, noisy and stuff. It's not like a car. But yeah, just make sure that you get the grease off, and then we'll get these rotors or these pads back on too. Probably a little excessive, but whatever. Come on now. All right, where's my 12? Probably on the other side. So yeah. All right. So we're all buttoned up. I'm gonna go finish the other side. We'll lower it down, and we'll make sure that, well, actually, before we lower it down, we'll put the tires back on, and we'll check to see, did I solve my bearing problem? I hope I did, but I know I got other loose parts, so we're gonna go into that too. Stay tuned. All right, so I just finished up the bearing install on my Foreman. Now we're going to check to see if I have any play in any of the ball joints or tie rods. The bearings seem to be pretty snug. There is a little bit of just minimal, well, maybe it was the other side. But basically how I troubleshoot or how I diagnose front end problems, it's rather simple. You just take the tire and you're pushing with the top hand and pulling with the bottom hand and rocking it back and forth. I don't feel any movement. And then same thing to diagnose tie rod ends. You go side to side. Okay? So that's from this side. Let's do it from the inside. Okay, so what you're doing is when you're wiggling the tire up and down, and this helps to have a second person doing this, but what you want to do is you want to put your hand, because you're going to feel, and you'll feel a clunk if there's a part that's loose. So while somebody is pushing up and down like this, like I showed you, you're going to want to have your hands here. It's a little difficult with on your own, but I've done this enough where I got a good feel for it. And I don't feel, let's check the tie rod side now. So, let's go over to the other side. I think we're getting, well, maybe not. Get washed out by the sun. Okay, so we've got our inner tie rod back here and our outer tie rod here. So all I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm just going to put my hands on the tie rod and wiggle it. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. And I'm getting a little bit of slop on the inner tie rod, but it's nothing where I want to replace it at this time. So I hope that helps diagnosing your front end. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'd be happy to help guide you along. Good luck and have a nice day. All right, so this morning I got up and I buttoned up the last couple of steps. Finished up this side. Seems to be working pretty good. I don't run into any other problems that I wanted to share with you guys. But the one thing I do want to point out though is when I use the hammer and the socket to press the bearings in, that is not the right way to do things. That's the way I did it because I don't have a press. And I recommend if you want your bearings to last for a long time, you do it right and you use a press, whether it's a hub press on the vehicle or it's just a standalone 20-ton or whatever you see in the garage. So I just wanted to make that abundantly clear. That was the only thing that was really unstandard of what I did. So I hope you really enjoyed this. Hope you get something out of the video. Till next time, see ya.